Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Miss Aquarius B, also known as Aquarius. No, I don't like it.
Okay, do it.
Okay. Tip number 7 is make a budget.
Okay, it's not number 7, it's number 6. It's got a big 6 right next to it.
Let me mess up. You messed up a trillion times.
Still offering adjustable rate mortgages. Now,
that's how we got in a recession. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we have a special guest, which is my husband James Barnett.
Hello.
And today we're going to give you a few tips on what you need to do to prepare for your first home or purchasing your first home. So we are going to start off with tip number 1. It's all about saving.
Saving is going to be very important as you're preparing for your first home purchase. There's going to be a lot of expenses that are going to come up that you want to already have money planned for and set aside. For example, you're going to need a down payment. Now, depending on the type of financing you use, this can vary from 0% all the way up to 20% or more of the home's price. You're also going to need earnest money, which is essentially a down payment that you put on the property when you submit your offer as a sign of good faith to show that you're serious about buying the property. You also have little miscellaneous expenses that pop up. One of the most common ones is an inspection fee, where you want to have the home professionally inspected before you really buy it to make sure there's nothing that's wrong with the property that you are unaware of. And lastly, if you're like my wife, every time you buy a new home, she thinks that means you need new furniture and decorations.
Boom.
So if you are like-minded, you want to make sure that you set that aside as well. Now, saving isn't always easy for most people. It's kind of tough. So there's a lot of different tools, strategies, and techniques that you can use to make savings a little bit more manageable. All right, number 1, a lot of companies have 401k programs. If you work for a company that has a 401k program, you can contribute to that each month, and they'll take it out of your paycheck. Well, when time comes around for you to purchase your first home, you can actually essentially take a loan from yourself and use those funds for your down payment and any other fees associated with your home purchase. You can also, if you have good discipline, use traditional savings account. One good tip is to have money automatically withdrawn from your paycheck every time you get paid and automatically deposited into a separate savings account. Preferably one that you don't check often, because if you don't look at the money, you're less tempted to utilize those funds. Wells Fargo has a good product, which is called like Save As You Go, I believe. And what it does is every time you make a purchase on your checking account, it adds $1 to whatever your total is, and it automatically deposits that into your savings account. So that could be helpful. Another similar product that's out on the market that many of you may be familiar with is the Acorns app. And it rounds up each purchase to the whole dollar amount, takes those pennies or whatever that is, and it puts that into an investment account. Now, the only thing you want to be cautious about with that is it is using those funds to invest in the stock market, so the value of what you actually have saved can go up or down. So you want to use a little bit of caution with that. All right, number 2.
Number 2 is all about how to prepare your credit.
As you're preparing for your first home purchase, preparing your credit is going to be very important. Depending on how good your credit is, it's going to have a huge impact on what type of financing options are available to you, as well as the terms of those financing options. But do you need perfect credit to get a new home? Absolutely not. There's a lot of programs out there for even credit challenged individuals, especially for first-time home buyers, to help get you into your first home. For example, FHA has a program where the minimum score needed is a 580 in order to qualify for only a 3.5% down payment. Now, if your credit is lower than 580, they still can work with you. However, they will require that you put down 10% of the purchase price of the home. Now, if you're talking about traditional banks, typically for a lot of their loan products, they're going to want you to have at least a 620. And most would prefer that you're going to have a 640 or higher. There's a lot of tools that are out there in the marketplace that you can use when you want to monitor your credit and even improve your credit as you prepare to purchase your home. One that's really popular in the marketplace is Credit Karma. Credit Karma is going to give you access to your TransUnion credit report as well as your Equifax credit report. They're also going to provide you with a credit score. Now, I don't want you to be misled by this credit score. It's not your real credit score. It's not your FICO score, which is what banks and other lending institutions are going to use. It's a Vantage 3 score, which is good for directional purposes. So you can monitor and track it, and if it's going up, you're doing the right thing. If it's going down, you really want to take a look at what you're doing. Now, another app that you can download is the Experian app. Now, this is the third credit bureau that isn't provided by Credit Karma. Now, this is the real credit bureau, so they're going to provide you with your real credit score. They're going to give you your FICO score. As a matter of fact, you have to pay for it, but they'll provide you with your credit score for all three bureaus, which is going to be important because when you're applying for financing, the score that they're going to use is your middle score. Now, another couple quick tips on credit as you're preparing to buy your home. One, don't go out and open any new credit accounts. You don't want to get any inquiries. You don't want to open up any new credit cards. You don't want to go buy a car. You don't want to go out and buy new furniture. You want to wait until you've signed all your loan documents, you've closed on your home, and you have the keys in your hand before you do anything really with your credit. Another quick tip on credit is if you have any credit cards that have balances on them, you want to pay those down to about 9% of whatever your credit limit is. A 9% credit utilization gives you the maximum lift when you're trying to boost up your credit score.
Step number 3 is do your research.
As you're preparing for your first home purchase, you're going to want to do a lot of research. You want to figure out and pinpoint exactly what you're looking for. Do you want to build a brand new home, or are you going to purchase something that's already existing? Do you want a traditional standalone home, or are you interested in a townhome instead? Is location important? What all areas are you really going to consider? If you have school-age children, you're probably going to want to do research on the schools in the area. What are their ratings? Where are the good schools at? Also, you're going to want to really get an idea of what you're looking for inside the home. Are there any must-have features that you just really have to have? Are there any items that are on your wish list that you would really want to have? I would typically recommend that you make 2 lists. One is your must-have list. It's, if the home doesn't have this, this, and this, I don't even want to look at it. The second list you want to make is really a wish list. If you can find this, this, and this in the home and it's in your budget, then that's just icing on the cake. This will help you narrow your search so that you're not looking at a million different homes trying to figure out which one you want to buy.
Step number 4 is research loan options. Money.
All right, there's a tremendous amount of options when it comes to securing a loan for your home purchase. You have FHA loans, you have traditional loans, you have loans from big time banks or even small credit unions. You even have USDA loans that are out there. Now, the difference between all of these is really going to be what type of down payment they require as well as what type of interest rate they can offer you. If you look at FHA loans, which we talked about a little bit earlier, you can get as low as a 3.5% down payment with them. Now, you have some local banks, like credit unions, that will give you a 100% loan. That means you have to pay $0 down. The same is true for a USDA loan. Now, there's some catches to all of these. For the USDA loans, typically they're going to want you to be purchasing or building a home in a rural area. Now, rural doesn't necessarily mean out in the middle of the sticks. If you're in a growing area, like we're in Atlanta, so all the suburbs are constantly pushing out further and further, a lot of those areas may be zoned and qualify for that USDA loan. Now, there's another drawback when you talk about an FHA loan. FHA loan for first-time home buyers is great. However, they made one change a number of years back that you want to pay attention to. Back in the day, you could use a FHA loan and you would only have to pay PMI until you've paid down at least 20% of the value of the home. now, if you take an FHA loan, you have PMI for the life of the loan. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with what PMI is, it's private mortgage insurance. It's an additional monthly fee that they tack onto your mortgage that you have to pay every single month. So, if you only had to pay it for a short period of time, it's manageable. But you don't want to be paying PMI for the full term of the loan. A few other things you want to consider when it comes to financing is what type of terms are you looking for? Do you want a conventional 30-year mortgage? Or do you want to pay your home off in half that time and do a 15-year mortgage? If you look at the total savings and interest on a 15 versus a 30, I mean, it's astronomical. There are also different type of loan products. You can have a traditional fixed loan where your interest rate stays the same for the life of the loan. Now, you're also going to have a lot of different terms depending on the type of loan that you're interested in. For example, you can do a 30-year loan or you can do a 15-year loan. 15-year loan will cost you a little bit more each month, but over the life of the loan, number one, you're going to pay your home off in half the time. Number two, you're going to save a tremendous amount of money that would have gone to interest. You can also have a fixed rate loan where your interest rate is the same throughout the life of the loan, or you can do an adjustable rate mortgage. Now, a little bit of caution. If you think back to the housing recession that we had in the past, a lot of that was contributed to adjustable rate mortgages. Because if the interest rate starts to go up, your rate goes up, which means your monthly payment you're responsible for goes up. So I typically would recommend that you play it safe and go with a fixed rate.
Tip number 5 is get your documents together.
All right, when you're applying for a home loan, it is one of the most tedious loans that you can apply for. They're going to want to verify everything. They're going to want 2 years of your tax returns. They're going to want at least 2 months of your income. So you have a regular job, they want 2 months of your paychecks. They're going to want 2 months of your banking accounts, so checking, savings. And if you have any type of retirement accounts, they're going to want those as well.
Tip number 6 is make a budget.
As you're preparing for your home purchase, making a budget is very important. When you go to the bank and you get your pre-approval, often they will pre-approve you for way more home than you really need and way more home than you can really afford. It's going to be important for you to really look at your finances and determine how much you can really afford for your monthly payment. One thing to keep in mind is that over time, property values tend to increase. Therefore, your property taxes will likely increase, which will cause your monthly mortgage payment to increase as well. Also, depending on if you're already living in a home or if you're going to be moving from an apartment to your first home, there's some additional monthly expenses that come along with home ownership. For example, lawn care. Who's going to cut your grass? Who's going to treat it for weeds? Pest control. Who's going to keep the critters out? And who's going to prevent termites from eating up your home? HOA fees. Depending on where you're purchasing your property, especially in a lot of these communities, they have those. So you want to make an account for those. Now, if you're early on in the process and you don't have a really good idea of how much your monthly payment is going to be for your mortgage, there's a lot of free mortgage calculators out there that can give you a good range. Just make sure that you're really putting in all the information. You're estimating the property tax. You're estimating what your PMI will be. You're putting a realistic interest rate in there. And you're putting the real amount that you're going to put as your down payment. And that'll give you a good rule of thumb.
Tip number 7 is get pre-approved.
All right, now it's time to get your pre-approval. You're going to need this before you go in and put an offer on a property. Now, there's all types of options here. You can go to some of the big banks, some of these online options like Quicken Loans. You can use your local bank. You can use a local credit union. There's really all types of options out there available for you. Now, there is one important distinction that you need to know, and it's pre-qualified versus pre-approved. Now, pre-qualified just means that they've looked at your credit and they've asked you for some information regarding your monthly expenses and income. And then based on what you tell them, they can give you a guesstimate of what they think they can get you approved for. However, a pre-approval is much more secure. because they're not going to take your word for it. They're going to ask you for all the documents and verify exactly how much debt you have, exactly how much income you have. And they're going to be able to tell you definitively how much you can get approved for. And as a matter of fact, companies like Quicken Loans, they give you a guarantee if you go through their pre-approval process that they will be able to close on your loan.
Tip number 8 is find a realtor.
All right, you want to find your real estate agent. Really, this was real simple. Find someone that has experience, because a lot of knowledge comes with that experience, and find someone that really knows the area that you're interested in.
And what you want. Tip number 9 is find you a home.
All right, now you've done all the legwork. Now it's time to get out here and search and really find what you're looking for. Your real estate agent or your realtor is going to really help you with this. If you can, get them to sign you up for automatic updates from the MLS, especially if you're in an aggressive market. Now, we're in Atlanta. Atlanta is a hot market, so a house can be put up for sale today and can be off the market tomorrow. So if you're in a market similar to that, you're going to want to watch the MLS every single day, see what's out there that is within the scope of what you're looking for. And if you find what you're looking for, go and look at it, put an offer right away.
Step number 10 is make an offer and close the deal.
All right. So you finally found the perfect home and you're ready to put in your offer. There's a few things that's going to be a really good idea to include in that offer. So number 1, it's a really good idea to ask the seller to pay for your closing costs. Closing costs can typically be between 3.5% and 4% of the price of the home. So if you can get the seller to pay for it, that saves you a lot of money. Another thing that's a really good idea to ask for is for a home warranty for at least the first year. That way, this gives you additional peace of mind, so if anything breaks down or any kind of issues pop up, that you have a little bit of coverage there. Another really good idea is to make sure that you have the right contingencies in your offer. So you want to have a finance contingency. That way, if for whatever reason your financing falls through, you can bag out of the deal and you don't lose your earnest money. Same thing for an inspection contingency. When you have your professional inspection done on the property, if there's anything wrong with it that really scares you off, once again, you have that out where you can get out of that contract and keep your money. Now, if you're, instead of buying a pre-existing home, if you're building a new home, for new construction, there's a few different things you probably want to ask for. A lot of times with new construction homes, it's things that you would assume come with the property, but they don't. So one is like a refrigerator. Typically, new homes include all the appliances except for the refrigerator. So you want to ask for that when you're putting in your offer. Washer and dryer is another appliance that's not normally included. So if you're in need of a washer and dryer because you're moving to this new place, you might want to ask for it on the front end. Another simple one is blinds. You really take for granted how many windows are in a home, and if you have to go buy blinds for every single window, that can get costly. So asking for that on the front end is another good idea. And lastly, garage door opener. We were super surprised with the home that we're building that wasn't something that's just automatically included. So it was really important for us to ask for that up front as well.
So that's the end of the video, and I hope that these tips are able to help you. But if you think there's some questions that we did not go over or cover, please leave them below in the comment section and we will get back with you. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video and share it with a loved one or someone you think that could benefit from the video. Thanks for watching.